a lot of people think Shauna and I have a whole management team or a manager that takes care of everything for us. We're our own managers. We, all of, our... Yeah, oh yeah, so what we do. We're actors, models, social media influencers, and we also play video games on Twitch. So we stream 5 days a week, 5 nights a week at 7 p.m. every day, except for Mondays and Tuesdays. And then we also are actors, so we've been in TV shows like CSI, what other TV shows? Smallville, Blue Mountain State. So just to name some of the TV shows that we've been in. About half of our stuff is probably together as twins, and then the other half is our separate auditions where Sean and I get to audition against each other. So that's always fun. We also have a combined following of 1.5 million followers on social media, including YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat. Shauna has this on me. She gets about 50,000 views on Snapchat. I get about 30,000, so she has me beat. But I do have more Instagram followers than you, Shauna, so I will waive that. So yeah, that's what we do. We started modeling right after, I guess we used our education to pursue acting and modeling, and we managed ourselves. So everything that you see, our store online, everything, we treated the Baker Twins brand as a business, and I think that's kind of what made us successful is treating ourselves as a business instead of going to university and taking that, but also it was us treating ourselves as a business, and I think that's kind of where we got our success is treating us that way instead of as, I guess, people, if that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know where you were going. You just kind of like took that and ran in another direction.
Taking over.
But yeah, so Shannon and I, we went to university, learned about, I actually became an accountant, and Shannon worked in the marketing department of an office, and one day Shannon's like, let's quit, and we're like, oh crap. I didn't say let's quit, I just quit.
Yes.
And Shauna found out later on that day, because I just wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. We were doing a lot of modeling. We just did NASCAR calendar. We actually went, our very first photo shoot internationally, because we're from Canada, was actually here in New Mexico. We did a NASCAR calendar photo shoot a long time ago. And then after, when we came back, I'm like, I'm not happy at this office. I'm like, Sean, if we really want to be actors or we really want to be models, then we can't be comfortable at this job, this office job that we have that we're not really happy with. So that's kind of what we did. We quit and we're like, oh crap, what are we going to do for money? So it was pretty much, we had to force ourselves into getting modeling jobs and acting jobs. And we got a business line and we pretended to be our own manager. So we had a phone line where someone would call and we'd be like, hello, the Baker Twins, how can I help you? And they'd be like, oh, I'd like to book, Shannon and Shauna. It was me and Shauna pretending to be, a manager. So people didn't take us seriously until we actually did that. And then we actually found that we had to create a persona. We don't have him anymore, but we had a persona called Max Powers. And basically he was our booking agent. And so we actually created a whole email for him because we felt like when we were working out our own deals and our own contracts, people didn't take us seriously as women, and I hate to say that, but they just didn't. We could always find, we're able to ask for more money for photo shoots and things like that. And that has to change, and that 100% has to change in the industry. We don't do that anymore, but when we first started, we were using this Max Powers persona, who was a male, to book us a lot of our jobs and things like that. We had an email for him and everything, because we found that when we were negotiating our own rates, people were like, no, that's way too expensive, But when Max Powers was like, hey, this is their daily rate, this is how much they're gonna charge, this is what's gonna happen. So that's when we started getting more money, was when we were using this Max Powers character. And we eventually got our first agent, and our very first audition was for the show Smallville, and we both were actually competing against each other. And the casting director liked us so much that she ended up creating a role for both of us. So that was our first audition ever, and then we booked it, and then we didn't know that was uncommon to create, make a character into two people. So yeah. And then Tyra Banks ended up coming across our social media, and she brought us on her show, and the entire show. and we got to sit alongside Irene Bedard, and we were such big fans of her because she was the Pocahontas, you know, she was Disney's Pocahontas, and I had a Barbie doll of her well, you had the Barbie doll, I got the best friend, but anyways, for Christmas.
Before we knew about Native appropriation.
I'm not bringing up anything, but I didn't want to have the best friend. I wanted Pocahontas as well. But anyway, so we got to be guests with her alongside, we got to be guests on the Tire Show with Irene Bedard, and who was the first black supermodel, and Margaret Cho, who was Asian comedian.
Yes.
So we got to talk about racism in Hollywood against Native Americans, and what we've experienced as being Native models and Native actresses. So we first started modeling, actually. They used to, oh, sorry. Okay. I was like, this is awesome. I don't have to do anything. Keep on interviewing me, Shauna.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I was kidding. We kind of just took over. No, they used to actually whiten our images and our skin in Photoshop. And we always wondered, like, you see the raw image in the viewfinder on the camera, and then afterwards we're like, why? Like when we would see our pictures in the magazines, we looked white, and it was just we didn't realize at the time that they were actually lightening our skin. So after that, we started putting in our contract that hey, you can Photoshop our pictures, but please don't take our skin color and change it like white looking. And sometimes it is the flash and things like that, but you know, they're supposed to color correct it so that it looks like your actual skin color. So we were having issues like with that, but after Tyra Banks put us on her show, and she said that we were celebrities on the show, all of a sudden everybody wanted to book us. And we've traveled, we've modeled in Asia, we've modeled in L'Oreal Fashion Week, we've modeled in, runway shows pretty much all over the place. So modeling was amazing, it was awesome for us, but it also helped us get into acting as well.
So, should we pass that on to her?
Yeah, sorry, I feel bad.
And I don't have much, no. It's funny because I was like, oh no, they were like, no, we want a moderator. And I'm like, oh, you guys are just, do your thing. So let me see, so Indigenous Comic-Con, right? We're here, and for me, one of the reasons that I feel passionate about like being part of the Comic-Con is it's this place to sort of tell our own stories and change the representation that is of Native peoples in mainstream media. So share a little bit about your experience with. I mean, you've started to tell this story about. The representation of Native women and you as Native women and sort of lightening your skin. There's actors, my boyfriend who does extra work, he's a pretty brown Indian, and he's been on sets where they've even darkened his skin even darker because he wanted you to look rugged, I don't know. He's like, dude, I'm pretty dark, right? So just share a little bit more about that experience and I never knew you could like write that in your contract. I'm like, wow, that's a good thing to know. But how you've overcome those challenges in terms of representation of you as Native women.
It gets kind of hard because sometimes you go on set and they do ask to put, they're like, oh, put bronzer on you, and they put it on your whole body. Sean and I stopped doing that because the thing is that I feel like Native people, we all have different shades of brown. We don't look all the same. We're from northern Canada, so we don't see a lot of light. So I feel like we're kind of like a little bit like not as brown as like people down, in the south. So people don't know that we have different shades of brown. But also, we have been bronzed before in a movie once. And the first time we did it, we were like, you know what, all these other big actors that are on this movie, they seem okay with it. And then afterward, and we had smaller parts, so we were like, we don't want to complain. But then the next day, we were talking about it, and we're like, you know what, that didn't feel right, them doing that. And the next day, we're like, can you not do that, please? And they also, I feel like they try to make you more like savage looking, where they put dark underneath your eyes. Like it's amazing to me because in the end, like Native people, we were actually like we took care of our hair even back then. We didn't have like the stereotypical like messy hair and like dirt on our face and things like that. And when that has happened, Sean and I have actually went to the bathroom, and you're not, this is the big no-no in film, you're never supposed to touch your makeup after a makeup artist does your face. But Sean and I, we would go to the bathroom and avoid the makeup artist all day, we would always bring our own makeup kit to set, and like we just would redo it, because we're like, this doesn't feel right. But I mean, as a model, I feel like in the industry with regards to Native appropriation, I feel like a lot of photographers and a lot of magazines would try to hire Shauna and I to appropriate Native people, and that was the biggest thing for me. I'm like, well, where did this come from? Where did this regalia come from? I'm like, did you make it up? And they were like, well, yeah, like it's based off of. And we're like, well, that's not a real culture. So we actually said no to a lot of the indigenous looking photo shoots. We always prided ourselves on the fact that we're models who happen to be Native, and we want to represent Native people in a modern day society. So we're just models that happen to be Native. We don't want to be booked for something because we're Native to try to appropriate Native people in like some kind of look. So we've always said no to those kind of things. We have worked with Indigenous artists and Indigenous designers that are like modern day designers. And we have done photo shoots for people like that, but for like non-Natives that are trying to, I guess, put
Cheap Halloween costume.
cheap Halloween costume.
Put it on us.
Yeah, to sell prints or whatever. We've never been about that.
And and I think there is a fine line with, not even a fine line, I take that back. There's a line, you know, with appropriating your culture, and I think a lot of people don't understand what Native appropriation,
Appreciation versus appropriation. Yeah.
Yes, so there is a line, and when people they have an idea of what Native people look like, and you know, and it's usually the Hollywood Indian look, you know, from like back in the day where we're all wearing you know, headdresses and all that stuff, but it's like how cheap Halloween costumes, and there's been plenty of times that Shen and I have been booked, and then we show up to set and it's just cheap plastic, like just cheap costumes, and we're like, no, we're not doing this. If you want us to, you know, if you want us to.
So we were in, I don't know if we could say which movie it is, but I won't say it. We were in a big movie, and I remember the outfits that they had for us was honestly burlap, like potato sack. Like that's all it was. Just they put holes in it. We're like, this is a potato sack. This isn't even like, you guys didn't even try. Like this is potato sack, and they wanted like the leather, and we're like, this isn't even accurate to like. We're like, what culture is this based off of? And they were like the Haida people. And we're like, first of all, Haida people didn't wear this. So it was just kind of like, we were just shocked, you know? And I think actually it's probably, we didn't end up wearing the outfits, and I think they changed the outfits for us. But then, we were the only ones that were dressed differently on set. Yeah.
And I feel like Shen and I, we always have those like battles, especially around Halloween, where everyone wants to be, you know, Native Pocahontas or whatever, and we're like, oh no, you know. So it's just like, and then
we've called out big celebrities actually on the internet about things like that. Even like, I think right before, Sean and I are really vocal on social media because we do have a big voice, we do use it, but it does get us in trouble sometimes. We do get rape threats and death threats and things like that on social media because we're pretty vocal about Native appropriation or no DAPL. We do get into our line of, but the thing is that